and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Tuesday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig with you. And we have a great show for you today at 1:15. We're going to be joined live by Edgewood's newest member of the 1,000 Point Club. It's going to be Casey Kinnicky joining us live at 1:15. We are also going to play a couple of interviews with some more coaches that we have in the barrel that we still have to get to. Been trying to get to as many of them as fast as possible. So we're trying to get to a couple more today. We're going to hear from Coach Siegfried from Louisville, and then Coach Rowe from LeBray girls basketball. Those will both be featured on today's show as well. So gonna be a fun time. It is basketball season, full swing, and we had a lot of results come in from last night. Let's go over the scores. I'm going to start with the game that I was at that I can kind of speak the most intelligently about, and he was East Palestine traveling to Valley Christian, and they get the 35-32 win over the Eagles, and this one was a thriller. It started off really slow. Both offenses just trying to work around the defense. Both teams were very physical. The effort level was there at 100%, and both teams were not really giving the other much room. East Palestine did it in a way where they pressed a lot, and Valley Christian, most of the night set back in a 2-3 zone, but both defenses seemed to work pretty well against the other offense. It was 13-7 at halftime. So Valley Christian could only score 7 points at halftime, but they came out of that third quarter. They made some adjustments, and all of a sudden their offense started clicking. They got two really quick buckets, but East Palestine answered. It was like 15-11. So it came down to second half burst, because, if you're 13-7 at halftime and then you end up 35-32, that means you definitely scored a lot more in the first half than you did the second, especially Valley Christian. So you look at it, and Valley Christian did not take a lead until late in the fourth quarter. That was Deandra Tinsley came up and hit a three with the Eagles trailing 29-27, made it 30-29. But then Maya Lee, the player of the game last night for East Liverpool, came up with back-to-back buckets, gave East Palestine back a 3-point lead. She would go on to hit a couple of clutch free throws down the stretch, and East Palestine was able to hang on 35-32. Valley Christian did get the ball back as the last possession. Tinsley put up a pretty good look from three. Wouldn't fall. East Palestine got the rebound, and that was all they wrote. So overall, a pretty good game. I know you look at it, you think low scoring, and you think, though, it must have been tough to watch. But no, it wasn't. How do I put this? It wasn't sloppy basketball. It was really good defense. There's the difference. Defenses were up, and they were pressing, especially East Palestine. Their defense was not giving Valley Christian any kind of room. Valley Christian did a really good job of not letting anything in the paint. A lot of East Palestine points came from either turnovers forced by their defense, couple of threes, couple of shots at the foul line. But as far as getting into the paint on their half court, East Palestine did not have a lot of success. They tried to use Lutz size inside. It didn't really work too well. So Valley Christian did a really good job collapsing in that zone, not letting anything in the paint. They still put ball pressure up on the guards. And what I heard was, as a unit, they weren't really feeling too well. They were kind of in one of those modes where they were slow. They hadn't played in a while. So it's an impressive performance comeback, especially when you only score 7 points in the first half, you're able to come back and really put together some offense, find some rhythm. Ashley Gonzalez came up big. Unfortunately, she fouled out with like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, so um, she couldn't be a factor down the stretch, but she had a big third quarter and made a couple of clutch buckets for Valley Christian to get them back in that game. So a lot of very fun players to watch. And the other thing I have to say, that was my first time in Valley Christian for basketball, and I love the setup. I love the setup. Their gym has a lot of bells and whistles. I like the balcony where you can go and you can watch and you can kind of sit at a bar stool almost. Maybe have a little bit of a bite to eat. They have a Eagles Cafe back there. So it's a really nice setup for what they're working with. Obviously, it's a small gym, it's a little box, but um, they have a really nice setup. Their stands are chair backs, which I thought was cool, and they have a handicap section right at the top. So I got to really my first time in a while being able to have a broadcast style camera angle right down the side of the basketball court, which I enjoyed. I don't get that a lot. I usually am on the floor with the angle in the corner, or sometimes up in the mezzanine at South Range. But other than the huddle cams, I don't get a lot of opportunities to have the broadcast style angle where I'm going side to side. So that was fun to experience as well. Valley Christian has a really cool facility, and I also want to thank Dolph Carroll for being so accommodating. Obviously, there was got there, he knew exactly how to get me up to the mezzanine. Got me up the freight lift. So Dolph's one of the real ones, and he took care of us. And we can't wait to continue our coverage of basketball in Valley Christian. Gonna be a fun time. A lot, like I said, they're green. They have a lot to learn. There's definitely stuff to improve on, but I see a lot of pieces for Valley Christian, especially Tinsley, Gonzalez, and I like Samantha Newkirk down low too. So Valley Christian has a lot going for him. As far as East Palestine, Maya Lee can play basketball, that's for sure. She scored 20 points to lead them. But also, I was impressed by Lila Martin, the point guard. She scored 7. She was able to really distribute the ball well, took care of it for the most part against the zone. You can make a lot of bad passes against a good zone. But she really made smart passes, took care of the ball, facilitated the offense, got herself 7 points. So I think both teams have, pieces there that they can use to compete in that EOAC. Obviously, United is going to be tough to handle. As we get through the rest of the scores, they had a big one last night. But we'll go through the rest of the scores. Harrison Central gets the best of East Liverpool just barely, 33-31. They beat the Potters. Badger gets the big win over Chalker, 53-34 on the night. We have Heartland Christian winning 53-29 over Camel. Springfield gets the win over Hubbard, 44-35. Good win for the Tigers. Overtime in Boardman, Poland gets the 51-48 win in a thriller. They remain undefeated. They have another big test on Thursday as they open up league play against Girard. Niles gets another win on the season. They're starting off pretty hot, 38-25. They get the win. Just posted the story for that one. You can hear from Abby Reed, one of the players of the game last night from Niles, in her post-game interview conducted by Ian O'Brien. He does a great job. So go over to ysnlive.com, check that out. Check out the recap of the Niles and Cheney basketball game, if you will. United gets the big win over Latonia. I talked about it in the UAC. They're flexing their muscles, 58-17. The Eagles win that one. JFK gives Champion all kinds of problems last night. 54-33, the final score there. We already talked about East Palestine. They got the win. That final score once again was 35-32 over Valley Christian. Struthers, a close win over Western Reserve, 46-40. The final one there from the Wildcats. After a slow start, they lost a couple of games that they probably felt like they could have won. They have wins now against Chardon, who's a really good team, and now Western Reserve, who, yes, is a couple of divisions below them, but a solid Division 4 team. So a couple of big wins for Struthers after the slow start to their season. Walsh Jesuit came into Austintown, and they proved that they're a really, really good basketball team in Division 1. They proved just how good Division 1 can be, because Walsh might end up being, at the end of the season, maybe a 5, 6, 7 seed, and they're still able to go into Austintown, beat a good Fitch team, 64-31. Girard escapes Crestview with a narrow victory, 40-38, the final there. Crestview's first loss of the year. Girard, big win for them as they gear up for any play. Like I said again, they will travel to Poland on Thursday to open up the NE8 slate for the Indians and the Bulldogs. Should be a fun one. Both teams coming off very close victories against very good teams. So both of them will be coming in riding a lot of momentum. Indian Creek, by the way, did get the win over Beaver Local 69-28 on that, and tough one for the Beavers. Last score of the night, we have Columbiana beating Lisbon 61-27. No problem for the Clippers there. So those are your night scores of the night. Night scores of the night. What am I thinking? And we will, look forward to more great basketball tonight, actually. And we're going to have a lot of fun times here on Running Point. Once again, Casey Kanicki coming up at 1:15, and then a couple of coaches for the rest of the show. As we go through the finals, I want to talk a little bit more about this overtime game, Poland and Boardman. And, you look at the totals for Poland, not the big offensive numbers that they usually get. As far as, their first two games, Mary Brandt was able to score 17 and things like that. But you look at the scorebook this time, I'm pulling it up right now. So look at the scoreboard this time. They had 5 or 6 players get about 10, 8, 9. It was a very balanced offense. Yeah. Ariana Daniels led the way with 10. And then you had Ava Nicoludis with 9. Mary Brandt and Katie McDonald both had 8. And then you had Sarah Forsyth with 7. Sometimes that can be just as dangerous as one player going off for 20, 25, 30. That's 5 players combining for, let me do the math, 19, 28, 36. 43. So that's 5 players combining for 43 points. That can be pretty dangerous as well. You look at stat sheets, and I know everyone looks for the big numbers and says, oh, this girl had 25, this girl had 22, this girl had 30. We've seen 44 this year. Those are not all nice and dandy. Those definitely make teams very dangerous. But when you have a team that can go in and have 5 players all score around 7, 8, 9, that can be just as lethal. You can't sleep on teams like that. Poland was able to do that last night with their offense. You look at Boardman's scoreboard. They were led by Gia Treveri, who had a nice night, 16 points for her. 9 points for Bella Martin. Poland's defense did a good job on Mackenzie Rickett. Well, did a good job on the inside. I'm sorry, Cami Goski, 4 points. Mackenzie Riccatelli had 14. She was in double figures. We expect that from her. So 16, 14, 9. I think that the difference was they're just missing that one extra player. I think if you get just a little bit more from maybe Cami Goski or a little bit more from Faith Walston, maybe you're able to come away with that win. But unfortunately for the Spartans, they couldn't get that one extra player to get them a couple of points. Poland had 5 of them that had 7 or more. So both teams pretty balanced offense. Both teams have a lot going for them. Poland gets to win in overtime. Once again, the final score of that one, 51-48. So, as we get ready for Casey Kanicki from Edgewood, got some comments in the comments section. Asking about the Cavs. I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I don't really follow the Cavs. I'm not an NBA guy, but appreciate the comment nonetheless. But obviously, we are covering. What am I saying? Well, thank you for the comment. It's a long one. I'm having trouble seeing it, but thank you for the comment section there, and we'll move on. Casey Kanicki coming on at 1:15. 1,000-point scorer, just got it last week, and Edgewood is an undefeated basketball team. Their most recent win came on Friday night. They're back in action tonight as they will go up. I'm going to bring up their schedule. I know they have a big week ahead with some big teams. They will play. Well, come on. It's just a logo. I don't know what that logo is. I know it's a big game. But they have some big talent tonight. Orange is going to host Hawken tonight in girls basketball. Hawken, a very good girls basketball team. Orange coming off the win over Middle Ridge over the weekend. We're excited about that. We were excited. I was able to keep in contact with Tim Porter. We have a lot of Orange interviews coming up because I just got a list of players to reach out to from different sports. Maybe get some ice hockey, some gymnastics. I'm excited because I just got a list of players that we can pop in. So look, keep an eye on Orange, and we're going to try to get as many interviews from them as possible throughout the season. But we are going to be joined by Casey Kanicki from Edgewood, brand new 1,000-point scorer. Welcome into the show. Thank you so much for popping on.
Thanks for having me.
So let's go into the first question, of course, 1,000 points. You came into this season probably knowing it was going to happen. What was it like the first couple games, trying to keep that in mind, but also trying to stay focused and go out and do your job?
It was definitely daunting, I think, just having that, like, everyone asking, like, oh, like, how close are you? How many more points? And then, like, when I got really close, like, the game before I scored it, I think I had, like, 18 points. Everyone's like, how many? Like, you only have 18. Like, people were getting the specifics, and it was just pretty nerve-wracking, honestly. Like, I'm just kind of relieved that it's it's over.
How much did you know? Like, did you know how much you needed, or did you try to stay away from all that?
I knew I was like around like 900, almost 940 at the end of last year. So I knew I had like 60, 70 points left to score, but I didn't get like into the specifics too much.
So you get that and you're able to get it at home. What'd that feel like just to have that moment with your team and to be able to do it in Edgewood too?
It was great because a lot of my family was there too, and a lot of kids and friends from my school showed up, and if it was an away game it would have been different. And I was just so lucky to have so much support that night. It was just great.
So you go in now, and also 1,000 points. You're going into your leader on this team. What's that been like to transition into a leadership role and to be able to be a vocal and emotional leader for this Edgewood Warriors team?
I think it's great. I mean, I love all the younger girls on my team, and I love just trying to influence them in the right way and leave kind of like how I want the game to be played behind in them. Definitely, like, it's just good to see. And I don't know, like, filling that role as a leader is tough sometimes, and like sometimes I'm not very vocal all the time, but I think I kind of more lead by example for sure.
Who were some people that kind of taught you how to lead when you were coming up in this program?
Definitely like Heather Farr, a girl that graduated a couple years ago, and a couple other girls in her class, Sydney Melragno, older girls on my team who were good leaders to me, definitely helped me out.
What were some not postseason, preseason responsibilities like that the coach was going to put on you and that you put on yourself coming into the season as a leader?
Definitely showing up to like the non-mandatory things like open gym and trying to get other girls to show up. Like, I would try to get younger people to go, because we have a history of like nobody showing up to our open gyms in the summer. Like, a lot of girls on our team don't like to put in the work over the summer times, but definitely this year I feel like we know our potential. We knew our potential going into this year, so a lot of people were like more dedicated over the summer.
Undefeated so far. What's it like to have such a good start to the season? What's been working so well for this team?
It's been great. I mean, our defense has been very good. Like, we've been working on our like pushing the ball and getting like forcing turnovers. And I don't think we've ever won our first like our opening game of the season. So this is the first time I've ever been undefeated.
So okay, let's talk about this opener. Obviously, you had a home opener against South Range.
Mm-hmm.
They came in. It was close the whole time until the fourth quarter. I mean, what was that moment like, getting your first opening day win and being able to say, hey, for the first time in my career, we won on opening day?
It was great. I mean, and we had a lot of support. So like our school, like a lot of kids from our school were there, which really helped. And I think we had that motivation because we haven't won an opening game. And we're like, we need this. Like, my senior year, I'm like, there was like an urgency. We're like, all right, like, this is a very beatable team, and like we just performed how we should have in the end, and I think it was really good.
So it's our first year covering Edgewood. So I'm going to let you take us in the locker room a little bit. Talk about the personality of this team and what makes it such a special place to be.
Our team, we're like a family, especially this year. I mean, I get along with everybody. There's no fighting. We all are just like sisters. It's great. And I think we have a very positive mindset. And in the past, that's been something we struggled with because we had faced some really good teams like Perry and West G when they were like at their strongest. And it would get daunting for us sometimes. But I think, like, the atmosphere this year is a lot better and we all just get along and we play really well together. Like, we have some really good chemistry.
All right, so you look at some of your teammates that you have. Who are some of the ones that make you laugh the most?
Definitely Katie McAllister, Giovanna Victor, McKenna Venzel. Basically, like, I mean, I laugh with everybody, even some of our freshmen, like Annie Johnston. She is hilarious, and like I think that translates onto the court for us too. Like, we just have a great time together.
So you're one of those teams. I'm guessing you're one of those teams that likes to stay loose and does a lot better when you are loose. What are some ways that you guys try to not take everything so seriously and you are able to stay loose in the heat of a moment, in the heat of a close game?
I think definitely like not focusing on like our mistakes and just trying to like get it back. Like, you turn the ball over, like working, like playing harder on defense, like trying to get the ball back, and like we focus on like the positives, which helps us kind of stay like relaxed. And even in like the stressful situations, we calm each other down. We're like, hey, like, you're good, like shake it off, like, yeah.
Every school has something that makes them a little bit unique. What do you think it is about Edgewood that makes it unique from other schools that exist?
I think, like, since we're like a smaller school, like that family like aspect, like we're very close. Like, I'm close with like people like on and off the basketball team. I think like my class, we're pretty close. Like, I just think there's like a really good atmosphere there, and it like shows in our playing for sure.
So obviously you're a student athlete. We've talked a lot about the athlete. Let's talk about the student. What are some things that you like to study and some subjects in the school that you like to learn about?
I'm actually taking a forensic science class, like, which, because like that's something I'm interested in and possibly want to pursue as a career. I don't like math. I did not take a math this year because I didn't need one. And I like to read, so I take a lot of like English like classes. Yeah.
All right. So you like to read. What's been the favorite book that was assigned to you by an English class, like an assigned book to read?
Ooh. Probably it's called Never Let Me Go. I don't remember the author, but it was just like recently assigned to me, and it was just a really like, it was kind of a sad book, but I found it very like meaningful. I don't know. It was about clones. Like, it was weird, but it was good.
What about your favorite book overall? Like the best book you've ever read?
My favorite book, probably The Maze Runner. I love those books. They were like one of my favorites like a couple of years ago.
Did you stay away from the movies, or were you okay with the movie adaptation of those books?
I actually read all the books before I
Yeah.
watched any of the movies, but the movies were like, the first one was pretty accurate, but then they just kind of got like worse after that. But I'll just go with the books. The books are like way better.
Most movies do that. When you kind of see yourself and you look at your future, what kind of goals do you have? I know you talked about forensic science. What are the things you want to see yourself being able to accomplish in the next 4 or 5 years?
Definitely graduating from college, finding a job in that career path. I mean, because it's not like the easiest. It's kind of but it's a growing like career like field. So I hope I like am able to have like a successful career.
Do you have plans to keep playing basketball at the next level?
I'm not sure yet. I'm a little bit interested in it, but I haven't put like a ton of thought into it. But I'm starting to just talk about it with my parents.
If it comes out no, and Edgewood is like your last stop for basketball, what were some of your favorite parts about being a basketball player, especially being a basketball player at Edgewood?
I think just all the people I've met from it, like, is a big one, and just how much just being able to play is just like, it's just so much fun, and play with your friends that you've grown up with, like, and to finally start like having some success and like winning feels great. And I've always loved basketball. I love watching it. I love playing it. And it's just, it's so much fun. Like, I couldn't ask for anything more.
All right, so we know there's a lot of schools in Ashtabula County that are kind of crumpled together. I'm sure you've had the chance to meet, play with, or kind of befriend players that aren't on your team or that don't wear your jersey. Do you have any good friends that don't wear the Edgewood jersey that you compete against?
I mean, yeah, for a few years I played AAU with a bunch of girls from Geneva, like Savannah Surgeon, Jordan Jameson, Liv Wilms, all those girls. And like, some of them are graduated, obviously, but like, we played together, went from like 6th grade to like 10th grade. Like, I grew close to some of them in the spring, and it was just cool to like be able to play them, and after the game go up and talk to them.
I also want to ask you about your coaching staff and what they've meant to you, and what it's like being under them, and what they've taught you about not just basketball but life in general.
Oh yeah, like, I have my head coach Randy Venzel. He's great. I mean, he definitely pushes like the family aspect and getting along and putting like your differences aside. And he also just wants us to have fun, and like, it's not always just about basketball. Like, you're learning like life lessons, and they've done so much for us. Like, for me as a person, I feel like I've grown just because of like their ideas and their goals are just so good.
All right, so what are some of your favorite pregame routines that you have for about getting ready for a game?
I listen to like similar music before every game. I try to eat like similar foods. Like, I like to eat like butter noodles before games, usually just like carbs. I used to drink Pedialyte like every night before a game, just to like get hydrated so I wouldn't cramp. Yeah, just like things with like food. Like, I don't know, trying to eat like similar foods. Or like wear like the same like undershirt or like spandex, like Superstition, or I don't know, socks sometimes. I get like funny about the socks. I'm like, well, last time I played bad when I wore those, so.
So, I mean, you're undefeated. Have you changed socks yet?
I have, actually. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's funny. I'm like, I'm trying not to like be crazy superstitious, because I'm like, there's no.
There's no way, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. So far, it hasn't proven me wrong. So.
All right, Casey, we want to thank you so much for the time and being able to come on and talk with us about your career at Edgewood, your 1,000-point score. We congratulate you on everything. We look forward to covering you the rest of the season, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. Casey Kanicki from Edgewood, the newest member of their 1,000-point scores. And what a great interview. Great time to kind of catch up with Edgewood. Brand new member of the YSN family. We brought him on during football season. And we hope to talk to more and more athletes and coaches from the Edgewood community as the season goes on. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have some coaches interviews that we're going to play for you, and much more on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, Whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Got some more basketball coaches that we're going to get to and talk about their seasons and hear from their seasons, I should say. Ty Bartell did a great job the first couple of weeks of the preseason getting all these coaches for you. We still got a couple of them that we haven't gotten to yet that I want to make sure get played because they were promised that they'd be played on the show. So we're going to play a couple of them today, and then we'll come back and we'll recap we'll preview the night of action on YSN Live. So we're going to hear from Tom Siegfried, head coach of the Louisville boys basketball team. Obviously, this dude, he's one of our favorites. We had him on multiple times last year. Great conversation, great interview, and can't wait to see what Louisville has up their sleeves. They have one of the best players in the state in Willard Jancic, and they're always fun to watch. Let's hear what Coach Tom Siegfried had to say with Ty Bartell, Louisville basketball Coach's Corner.
Welcome in, everybody. Ty Bartell in with another edition of Coach's Corner. This time we go out to Louisville, home of the Leopards, with the boys basketball coach Tom Siegfried. Coach, how we doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Before we get into this year, I kind of want to just go into a recap of last year because, I mean, you guys you called your shot. You're like Babe Ruth calling your shot beginning of the season. You said this was going to be a team to watch last year, and you guys went on a deep tournament run to the regionals too. And of course, ran into St. Vincent St. Mary's, but it was a great season nonetheless. And I think you guys looked really good at points against St. V's. What are the practices looking like? Recap last season and what that means going into this year for the Leopards.
Yeah, I don't think I've completely recovered from lack of sleep during that tournament run last year, but I'll take it. It was surreal. And, you know, when people say that just survive and advance, that truly is what it is. And you just worry about one game at a time, and you win that game, you feel fortunate. There were so many great teams that we had the ability to find a way to win. I'll use that term there. And, like you said, we ended up getting to St. V's, and then what they did in the semis and finals made us feel a lot better about our loss, because they were just a different level than anyone else, maybe even D1, anyone else last year. They were very, very good, but just really proud of our kids last year. We just had the total package. I mean, obviously you got to have skill. We had that, but there's a lot of skillful teams that I've had or other people have had that didn't have the chemistry like we had last year. And it just seemed like whoever we put in at any given time, they did what they had to do, or tried to do what they had to do to bring us forward. And that was successful. So I think with that being said, we know, I mean, there's enough guys around here. We know what that looks like. And I think that's the advantage from having a deep tournament run. It's no longer the coaches just saying it. The kids saw it firsthand. They know what they have to do. And right now we're just trying to find the people to fit into those spots and make another long tournament run. But we also understand too, with last year, it's a long season. So we're trying to build up to that point and, not make any practice, any scrimmage, any event too big. But at the same time, we want to keep growing and get ready for another tournament run.
In previous discussions with you, Coach, that's exactly what you mentioned, that it wasn't going to be a one-off year. You want to continue to build this program. You want to continue challenging it, and you want to ultimately grab that brass ring with this program. And looking at what you got in practices, who are some of the names that are standing out? Who are some returning faces for this Leopards program? And who are some of the new faces that we're going to have to get used to over there in Louisville?
Yeah, we have a veteran team back. A lot of guys that contribute to that team last year, and we lost 4 seniors, and I would say those 4 seniors were just instrumental in being great leaders, great team players, and they're going to be sorely missed. A lot of times, to the general public, you look at teams and you say, oh, well, maybe these 2 or 3 didn't play as much, and they should be easy to replace, and it's not the case. Obviously, Tyler Bolden was the guy that played the most out of those. But, with Saber Lemoyne and Zach Seaman and AJ Langenhold, they all had huge parts in our tournament run. Coming this year, obviously it starts with Will Aljancic. He had a tournament run last year that, to be quite honest with you, I turned into a spectator at times to watch, because it was tremendous. The game against Glenville, I think will go down in Louisville history as one of the greatest individual performances, especially on that stage, that we've ever had in this program. And then right after that, a fellow All-Ohio guy in Hayden Nigro, who's a junior this year, will obviously being a senior this year and just committed to Findlay. But Hayden Nigro is going to be that guy this year as well. I think you're going to see a like performance like Will did last year as a junior. Hayden has unbelievable upside. He's going to be probably a D1, 2 guy in college ranks, and just a tremendous player. Those are 2 of our biggest offensive threats, but we have numerous other guys that are going to be big parts this year. Senior wise, as far as leadership, we have Charlie Roberts back, who ran the point for us last year. Caden Weimer and Kyle Vesley, very solid role players in our program. And that rounds out, our seniors with Chase Mueller, who also gave us some big minutes last year, and just super athletic, great football player as well. And we're looking forward to what he's going to do at the top of our press this year. Junior wise, we talked about Hayden, and then we have a huge crop of sophomores. Braden Gross and my son Bo will be in that starting lineup more than likely. And Braden had 17 rebounds in the district final last year as a freshman. He looks really, really good. Put on a couple more inches. My son put on a couple inches and will help run the point this year with Charlie Roberts. And then we have numerous other guys: Ashton Marshall, Colton Lloyd, Tate Aljancic, Avery Andrachek, all sophomores that will all be competing for those role minutes off the bench. But overall, our depth is tremendous. We have a lot of youth, but a lot of experienced youth, because we were playing so many young guys last year. So just looking to keep, paying attention to details. Our practice plan today, we always have a focus, and it's just attention to details. We can do a lot of things naturally good, but in order to be great, we got to really pay attention to those details.
I think everyone just heard that there's another Aljancic in the program.
There is. He's growing like a weed as well, just like Will. He's making that sophomore year grow. He's up to about 6'1", 6'2", and I think he was like 5'9", 5'10" last year at this time. So, yeah, I'll keep them coming through as long as we can.
I love to see it too. And I mean, you guys do what most great teams do. You're progressing the younger crop while you're also competing with the older guys. And I mean, I feel like that's what you need to do to have longevity and success. What are some of the things? Because I know you'll start a variety of guys. You'll interchange guys. There's really no playing time that's truly solidified unless you earn it. How do you earn it then? What are the things you're looking for in the practices that kind of earn playing time, earn starting time for the Leopards?
And that's a great question, because we just got done talking a lot about this last week in our scrimmage. We scrimmaged Green and Cuyahoga Falls, and when we talked about toughness, we talked about defense. You can't have 5 scorers on the floor all the time, and guys got to fall into roles. So we're looking for guys that have good chemistry together, bring something to the floor. And maybe it's something different than others. And I've always had a guy or two on my team that play a lot of minutes that maybe the average fan looks at and says, why is that guy out there so much? They do all the little things. There was a gentleman a couple of years ago on our district final team that lost to Triway and had a great run, Ryan Pukish, who played about 30 minutes a night for us. I think he averaged like 1.8 points a game. But he would set screens. He was our defensive stopper. He was our chemistry guy. He made sure that the locker room was right. So that's what we're looking for right now. We have a pretty good idea of where most of our scoring is going to come from. But we're looking for, how are those other guys going to step in and do the little things? How are they going to be ready to practice? How are they going to work hard? Our program is basically built on working hard. I mean, it seems very, very simple, but if you outwork other people, we're going on, I think, 12 straight years of winning records, and most years over 15, 16 wins. It's really not that hard. I mean, some nights you're going to shoot well, some nights you're not. But as long as you have guys in there that are going to get big stops, get offensive rebounds, and do all the little things, I feel like you're going to come out on the right side of the margin more times than not.
You hinted it last year, and it got released. I mean, the schedule this year, once again, no laughing matter.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, it's tough. It's a tough schedule to try to get 15, 16 wins in. Shout out the schedule. Shout out some of the matchups that you're excited for, and what you guys are going to need to do strengths-wise, playing to your strengths to get those wins this season, continue that success.
Yeah, it's great to have the success that we've had. I mean, it's wonderful at the end of the year. It's great banquet, speeches, all that kind of stuff, and postseason accolades and college scholarships. But when you go to schedule, it can be difficult, especially when you're independent. You don't have built in 12, 14 games. So you have to find 22 teams to play. And it's really difficult, and we do a lot of it on purpose. This year, like you said, I didn't think it could, but it got a lot harder. We added Menor to our schedule this year. We play them we're the featured game at the Hardwood Classic. We're going to Florida for 3 games this year. I believe it hasn't been completely set, but there's a team from Utah, Alabama, and Maryland, I think, that we're playing down there. And and they match us up based on how you do the year before. So I'm sure they're pretty good teams coming back as well. We open the year at Perry, at McKinley, Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and then the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. 2 games on the road right from the get. We play Hoover, we play Lake, we play Massillon. There's numerous Division I teams, Boardman, Ed Fitch. We play basically the D1 programs from any surrounding, school in any league. So that's where we're at. I mean, we're D1 this year. We did get bumped up to D1 by, I think, 5 or 6 boys. We welcome the challenge. Obviously people can look at it and say, well, if you're D2, you'd be one of the favorites. And that's probably true, but we don't really look at it that way. I told our team we have 2 Division II district titles, and it's time to put a Division I district title on the wall as well. So that's our goal this year. We want to win as many games as we can, obviously, but we obviously want to win a Division I district title. That's the goal for the Louisville program this year.
And I mean, you look at that too, Coach. What a lot of coaches would say, there's only 5 guys on the court too, so it's my 5 against your 5 at all times too. I mean, I'd take the bets with those Leopards too, and the guys that you got bringing back. Let's talk about the coaching staff that you're going to be bringing back, or what the coaching staff you will have. I know sometimes they change, sometimes they stay the same, but they're all very integral to building a program like you're trying to do. So talking about that, who are the big coaches that are going to be returning for you, and some other big names if you want to shout them out here as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just the continuity of our program, even coaching, you're absolutely right, is huge. We kept most of it the same. We've added to it. Owen Grimoy and Nick Schillig will be helping us again. They're both past Leopards. They both played for me. They've both been here for multiple years. Nick's been with me longer than any assistant I've had. Owen does a lot of the off-season work. He's really, really good on the individual side of things. I'm getting old and Owen's young, so he can still run around the gym and do those things with the guys. We added a gentleman this year that coached at Jackson for a few years and played at Perry, Dave Wirtz. He's going to be doing our freshman / JV this year a little bit. And then Corey Perez, who also played for me, will be in that kind of JV varsity assistant role as well. So we're very fortunate. These kids know it too, how fortunate they are to have a great staff around them. And we have a great community, great supporting cast that just get behind us. I mean, we had a meet the team night the other night, and we had probably 800 to 1,000 people in there for meet the team night. And we had a dunk contest. We had a 3-point contest with the girls program, who's going to be really, really good this year as well. Coach Kudo has them playing at a very high level. So it's just a lot of excitement with winter sports at Louisville right now. And we're just looking forward to, kind of making this thing go out as far as we can and really pushing it into deep March.
The baseball team also brought success, and we got to see 2 consecutive seasons of just how passionate this Leopards community was. I wasn't a stranger to it, but I think a lot of people on the YSN network were introduced to how passionate this Louisville team is and how passionate this community is for these teams.
Yeah.
Looking at that, I want to give you that time for a shameless self-promotion. I know you don't need it. I know the community doesn't need it, but shout out some of the people that might be on the fence as to why they need to get out and support this team this year.
It's just a fun team to watch. I mean, obviously everybody likes to watch good teams. I mean, that's obvious, and so on and so forth. But as far as the excitement, the way that they play, most people leave our games and they just say, man, I just can't believe how hard your kids play. And, that's just a testament to them. We just pretty much put it out there, and, we replicate what our community is. I believe our community is a blue collar community, and they appreciate hard work. They can accept failure as long as you're doing everything you can in the right way to try to win the game, and teach them life lessons of what it takes to be a good teammate, to be a good worker, and so on and so forth. So I just think it's a fun team to watch. I think you're going to have a lot of excitement this year, uncommon athleticism for our program, a lot of hungry young men that really enjoy being with each other. Our kids do a lot of stuff together. They hang out together. You can see it on the floor. And like you brought up the baseball and basketball back-to-back seasons of regional final, I was able to be the official scorer for a couple of those games. And it's amazing, whether you're on the sideline or you're in the midst of the fans, how they support, and they show up in waves. And it's really fun to coach and be part of a community like this. I was lucky enough for both my kids to come through. My daughter playing volleyball went to a district final. My nephew had the big home run in I believe it was the district final versus Marlington, and then obviously my son being a big part of the basketball. And so it's really served my family well, and we hope we still have a few more memories to create here.
Listen, you got to get out here and support the Leopards. If you haven't been to a Louisville game, you need to see them in person. It's just not the same if you don't. But if you can't see them in person, you know where you could find them. We'll have some games on ysnlive.com for you, completely free, thanks in part to our wonderful sponsors. As we get ready for the 2022-23 season, our friends over there in Stark County, the Louisville Leopards, are gearing up and getting ready, as this has been another edition of Coach's Corner on ysnlive.com.
Coach Tom Siegfried from Louisville joining Ty Bartell earlier in the preseason, previewing the Louisville boys basketball season. They are 1-2 right now. They will be back in action on Friday. They have 2 games in 2 days, actually. They will Friday they will come down to our neck of the woods and travel to Boardman. Saturday, they go back home and host South Range. So going to have 2 games in 2 days for Louisville coming up. They're 1-2 on the year. Obviously, an insanely tough schedule. You can't judge this team by their record, even at the end of the season. They might not get the highest seed in the world, but obviously they have so much talent. So much talent. They're going to be someone to reckon with in that now Division I bracket, which we know how tough that is. It's going to be a fun ride for Louisville. Can't wait to cover them. Got a really quick one here with Mandy Rowe of the LeBray girls basketball team. We're going to play it. We're going to come back, tell you what games are going to be on the network tonight, and then get out of here on Running Point. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Here's Mandy Rowe with LeBray girls basketball.
Welcome in, everybody. Ty Bartel in with another edition of Coach's Corner. This time we go into the gray side of the MVAC girls side of things with the LeBray girls basketball coach, Mandy Rowe. Coach Rowe, how we doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Coach. We love having you, and we love getting a preview of this season. And it's a tough conference, but before we get into the conference and what the prospects of that are going into this season, I'd like to talk about what the practices have been like and what you've been seeing a lot from these girls. It looks like the roster you sent me, you're going to have a large influx of freshmen coming in, so that's got to be an exciting time.
Yeah, so we have 15 girls this year, which is bigger numbers than what we've had in the last couple years. So that's exciting. We'll get a full JV schedule in there. I have 10 girls pushing for spots on the varsity floor. So practices are very competitive. They're high energy. It's nice because they come in, they work, very coachable kids. On the flip side, we're going to be very inexperienced and young. So just getting them adapted to the high level of play will be a challenge.
When you take all that into account and you take what you've seen so far on these few weeks of practices, what would you say your strengths are going to be for this team? In other words, what are you guys going to need play style wise, going to need to play to try to get wins this season?
So in the past, we've been more offensively focused. This year, we are flipping the page to, we're going to really stress the defensive end. Not having a main scorer this year, I think it'll be spread out between our players. So we're going to look to get after it on the defensive end with our speed and quickness.
And looking at that, it's a tough conference that you guys play in, highlighted with a lot of good teams. You guys were solid last year, but looking at this year, what are you guys going to need to do inside that conference, and what check marks are you going to need to see as a coach to see you guys fare well and compete inside that tough conference this year?
So I think our biggest thing that we need to do is just get better every day in practice, every game. I think we have the potential to build and grow more than any team in the conference with our age and ability-wise. But, yeah, just working hard on the defensive end, and boxing out is going to be key for us because we are very small.
When you talk about all the talent that you have and say about how deep you are, you got 10 girls. I'm sure that throughout the course of the season, we might be seeing a few different lineups, few different starting lineups. But in saying that, I kind of want to take it a step back. What are the things that you and your coaches are looking for that determine the starting time, that determine how much playing time a player is going to get throughout the course of a season?
Because there are so many guards that are comparable, we're looking at coachability, we're looking at attitude. Effort's the biggest one. We tell the girls all the time, there's a lot of things that you can't control in the game, but you can control how hard you work, your attitude, how well you listen and adjust to things that we're telling you.
You look at the rest of the schedule, too. I know 14 games already within the conference, but for non-conference games, I think those are always perfect for testing younger girls and younger competition as well. When you look at the non-conference games that you guys have compiled this year, what are some ones that you're excited for these girls to be tested against? I
really like our non-conference schedule because I think every game is going to be competitive, and that's what I'm looking for. We have Ridge. They were very young last year, so I know they're going to be tough because they did get a year of that experience. We have Niles. Badger's they're really going to be a tough team this year in Division 4. Berkshire, Springfield, and then we have Girard Early, who's going to be tough as well.
Yeah, a lot of great teams, it seems like, on the schedule. A lot of teams, too, that, again, have that year of experience. When you're talking with these younger girls, too, because I know they're going to be trying to impress when they get their playing time. They want to impress the coaching staff. What's the biggest point of advice to the younger girls who are trying to impress, but at the same time need to focus on developing themselves and making sure they find a role within this team?
I can't even tell you who my starting lineup's going to be from game to game. And we've actually talked about that, how it could change due to lineups or whoever we're playing. In the past, we've had a set lineup because of our numbers. And this year it might be one girl starts this game. Next game, she might be the sixth man. But just preparing them for that mental aspect of you might not be starting tonight, but that doesn't mean you're not important in this game.
You look at the community support that you guys always seem to get. Levittsburg's always seem to be really supportive of their athletics too. How important has this community support been in just getting those numbers back and maintaining those numbers, I should say, over the years too? I feel like having that support and having a gym full of people cheering you on too is always enticing for girls to want to go out and play.
Yeah, I think it starts with the parents. We have a great set of parents. They're making sure their girls are coming in the summer. They are coming in at 6. There's about 4 or 5 girls that come in at 6:30 in the morning before school to shoot. They stay after on late practices. So these young girls, they're putting the work in. So I think it will pay off in the long run. So we're excited about that.
How much easier is it for you as a coach when you already have that kind of work ethic there at such a young age where you don't even have to worry about them putting in the work outside of practice? You know that's already being done.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it a lot more enjoyable, I got to tell you, to come into practice. The energy of the girls is great. Just makes the whole atmosphere more fun.
Coach, I know you can't do it on your own too, and I know a head coach is as great as the staff that they put around them. So in saying that, I want to give you the chance to highlight this year's staff who's going to be helping you out with the program and maybe some other big names throughout the program that you'd like to give a shout out to.
Yeah, in our junior high, we have my husband, Todd Rowe. He's got the 8th grade girls. We've been with those girls from 2nd grade on, so they have a good foundation. And then Lisa Aldridge has our 7th grade. She was a previous varsity coach here. And then my assistant is Rick Aldridge. He has a wealth of knowledge and brings that to the table, and we bounce ideas off of each other, and seems we're always on the same page. So we have a nice staff and looking forward to that.
Is it make it a lot easier then too when you have your husband that's kind of bouncing off what the younger girls are doing, and then you got the Aldridges right there too? Yeah. I mean, it's
like
gotta be easier
husband-wife duo on both ends. No, it's more like when he gets home, I tell him, you need to be working on this in practice because these freshmen they aren't doing it. So make sure you have them ready next year.
But that has to be something that's nice. You kind of have that, you can kind of have your finger on that pulse of the younger girls, and you know how to instill that culture at a younger age that when they get to you, I mean, they're already ready for you.
And that's the thing we're looking at in the next couple of years, what we want to do culture-wise, program-wise with our system we want to run. So we're putting that into place this year with a new look of how we're going to be on the floor. So
give a few descriptive words of what you hope the culture is set in stone as when these girls leave. So in other words, when they graduate, what do you hope they say LeBray girls basketball taught them and some core values?
Well, ultimately, I want them to have had a enjoyable experience and to be able to come back. And I actually forgot to give a shout out. I have Jenna Repart and Alexis Huscroft. Those are 2 former players. They still come back into the gym when they're in town, and they're helping at practices too. So the girls really are receptive to them. And I love having those older girls come in. So that's always nice.
It's got to be nice to have a family atmosphere that's created in LeBray to where you have so many girls and so many people that want to stay involved. How important do you think it is to see that kind of consistency in the coaching staffs too, in order to expect consistency from the girls?
Well, just being consistent, the girls know what to expect. They know the demeanor we have with them, and it helps them to focus on the task at hand.
Well, Coach, before we let you go, I want to give you a little bit of time for some shameless self-promotion like we do with all of our teams. Let that community know why they need to get out there and support the Lady Vikings this year.
Well, we actually open up this Friday. We had Cardinal Middlefield. They had to cancel their season, so we picked up Southington last minute. So they will be coming to our place on Friday for a JV tip-off at 5:30.
So you get to see the Lady Vikings in action this week, and that'll be exciting as basketball right around the corner. Mandy Rowe, coach of the LeBray girls basketball team, is ready. We're ready here at ysnlive.com. And don't forget, you can catch some of the LeBray Vikings girls basketball games, on ysnlive.com this year, completely free. Once again, thanks in part to our wonderful sponsors. This has been Ty Bartell with another edition of Coach's Corner with LeBray girls basketball coach Mandy Rowe.
That was Mandy Rowe from LeBray. We're going to go into overtime a little bit just to give you the preview of tonight's games on YSN. We're going to run down the list. Tuesday, December 6th, we have a couple of games that are canceled that I'll start with. Hartville Christian at Sebring has been canceled. Columbiana at Lisbon has been canceled. The Academy of Urban Scholars against Cardinal Mooney has been canceled. So is Warren JFK at Champion. So those games not happening. Here are the games that are happening and will be on the network at 7 o'clock. Tip-offs, Campbell Memorial at Girard. David Williams will have the call there. 7 o'clock, Canfield at East. Richie Giuliano will be there for that one. Carrollton at East Liverpool, 7 o'clock. Nate Kelly, gonna have the call. East Palestine at Valley Christian. Alec Caberna gonna be there in the Eagles Nest for that one. Jackson Milton travels to Heartland Christian. Mark Franken and Gio Citriglia will have the call there. Latonia at United, 7 o'clock tip. Chris Ziegler will be there in Hanoverton for the call there. Liberty at Lakeview, 7 o'clock. Our Lakeview crew has that one covered. Newton Falls at Howland. Noah Ricks on the call. Poland boys travel to Fitch. Ty Bartell will be down there for that one, 7 o'clock tip. Salem travels to Springfield. Jamie Thompson on the call. South Range opens their season traveling to West Branch. Mike Janaki will be on the call there. Strasburg Franklin travels to McDonald. Ian O'Brien got you covered. Western Reserve at Crestview. Larry Scragg has you covered there. 7 o'clock start time for that one. A couple of games that are happening tonight as well. Fairport Harding will travel to Badger. Mogador will go to Waterloo. And Niles will go to LeBray. That'll round out the boys basketball on the network. There is one girls game. We said it before when Tim Porter commented on our show. Hawken will be at Orange. Girls basketball action there. Orange coming off the win on Saturday over Middle Ridge. So that is the rundown of the games that'll be on the network tonight. Make sure to go over to ysnlive.com/live. Check out all those links and tune into whatever game you want. I'll be back tomorrow, 1 to 2 in the studio with Scotty Mincher. It'll also be Wrestling Wednesdays with Gary Altizer. Don't miss that. Got some results to talk about from over the weekend and much more. Gary Altizer at 1. Me and Scotty will take the rest of the show for you, and we're going to have a fun time on a Wednesday. Tomorrow on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. That'll do it for today's show.